Ahoy there crew, this is your captain speaking, and today we're taking a look at how I simplify and draw bodies for more simple poses. I'll start off by showing you how I usually break down a character in a simple A pose, then we can move on to some examples and other hopefully helpful tips. When drawing a character, I usually start with the head. I've recently started using a rectangle to signify the face, with a cross in the center. This will help us determine where the facial features go later, but we're not getting into that today. I make the neck about half the width of the head. To start drawing it, I make a short and open rectangle shape. I then make some more guidelines for the rest of the neck by making a V shape into the little divot between the collarbones. I'm not sure what it's called, but from there I actually draw a line for the collarbones too. It goes slightly up and ends at about the width I want for the shoulders. I then connect it back to the neck to make a little extra triangle and fill out the neck and shoulder area. For the side view, the face's rectangle is cut in half and I add another half circle at the back of it. Technically it's half of a sphere, but I never really draw my shapes to be 3D. Depending on the angle of the head, the amount of visibility that circle or sphere has changes. The neck is about the same for the side view. The only difference is the size of the triangle shape and the neck guideline only curving in from one side. Now for the torso, I just draw a simple rectangle-ish shape. It has one shorter side and one longer side. I use the shorter side as a line to show about where I want the waist to sit. I usually put the longer edge at the top, but you can totally flip it around or change up the length difference depending on the type of character you're drawing. And these are more realistic proportions, so it's got a lot of wiggle room. For the lower part of the body, I do about the same with the rectangle, but just flip it. I use the waistline I drew as the top and draw another, usually longer line at where the hip should sit. I try to make that bottom rectangle come to a point at the end, around where the character's crotch should be. With some poses it helps with the leg positioning a lot. For the side view of the body, I keep the process about the same, but cut the shapes down the middle. I make the backside of the upper body a little more round, around where the shoulder would sit. Towards the waist, the shapes come in a lot more, but you can of course change the angles for a different type of posture. For the lower body, I draw the hip line a little tilted upwards towards the back. I think I usually place it around the center of the butt. But before we go down to that and the legs, we'll take a look at the arms. To start drawing the arms, I always draw an oval at the connection point between the arm and the shoulder. It's meant to vaguely represent the muscle that sits there, but it helps a lot when you want to adjust the arm's rotation. For the rest of the upper arm, I turn it into another rectangle. I draw the end about where the waistline would sit if the character pressed their arms to the other side. Usually it's a little bit lower. For the lower arm, I do just about the same. I just bring it in a little towards the wrist. I usually place the wrist around the crotch height, in the same way the elbows are around waist height. I represent the base of the hand with a rectangle and a triangle for the thumb. The rectangle should be thinner from one side and wider when it's more of a straight-on view. I won't be getting into the details like fingers in this video though. For the side view of the arm, I do just about the same thing. I just make sure to make the wrist a little wider to compensate for the arm and the actual more rectangle shape of the wrist. Now that the arms are done, let's get on to the legs. I mostly use a sort of rectangular shape again. It just comes in at around the knee area. I'll explain my general proportions a bit later, but I usually just connect it straight to the hips, but I draw it round here since it's easier for some poses, so I just want things to be a little more consistent overall for this video. For the lower legs, I still use a sort of warped rectangle. One side is straight or very slightly curved, while the other side usually goes out and in towards the ankle. This can change though depending on the type of physique the person has. A person with a more muscular body might have that outward shape on both sides because it's meant to signify a muscle or muscles that sit there at the back of the legs. For the feet, I've recently found a great way to draw them. And you guessed it, it's even more rectangles or square shapes. One that's a little closer to a square is used to represent the heel, and another one that's more flat and wide represents the general toe area. I just connect them with a curved line to shape the foot. I won't get into the details of the toes though, since I'm still having a lot of trouble with those. For the side view of the entire leg, it's pretty much the same. The upper leg just comes to more of a point at the knee. I always make sure that there's a bit of a bump between the upper leg and the lower leg to represent the knee. The lower leg is the same, it just curves out more towards the back. I actually keep my method for drawing a foot the same at any angle. I just orient the flat shape a little differently if it's straight on or more from the side. Just popping in before we move on to the examples. If you're new here, this isn't my typical video. I mostly post character design and some art challenge type videos. So if you're interested in that sort of thing, please consider subscribing. It really means a lot, but let's get back to the video. For this next part, I'm going to trace over some references to show you how I place all these different shapes. I won't talk about them in depth though, because that'll get a little repetitive. I've already explained how I break everything down, so I just want to show you how I apply that to references. While I do that, I just want to quickly cover some general proportions I tend to stick to. I make full bodies between 6 to 8 heads tall. I don't usually precisely measure it out, I just go on whether it looks alright to me. But as I build the body, I always make sure to consider the general proportions of everything towards each other. The torso, the upper leg, and the combination of the lower leg and foot are usually about the same length for me. This changes, of course, if I decide to make a character with very long legs. As for the hand, it should be about the same length of the face, from the chin to about the hairline. I don't know why I tried to show you, it's not like you can see me. I think that's all regarding that, but a lot of the things I do are based on probably muscle memory or just vibes, so I might not consciously know some of the general things I stick to. You can definitely change up the proportions I outline for your drawings though, since this is just how I do it for my style, and even I switch it up. Like you can change the legs to body ratio, or even how wide the shapes are to create different face shapes and body types. These are all just guidelines I use, and by no means do I see it as the right or ultimate way to draw a character. For example, I prefer using shapes, while many people actually recommend you use 3D forms. And I think using 2D shapes isn't all that bad, especially for more simple poses. I only really use 3D forms when I draw more complicated poses or something at a more extreme angle, or even when I'm having trouble drawing an object. Having so many lines in my sketches just really confuses me. I'm much more comfortable with sticking to 2D shapes most of the time. Just remember when you do draw with 2D shapes to keep in mind that the shapes are actually a little more round and 3D. If you have trouble with that though, I really recommend using 3D shapes like cubes and cylinders, even if just at first. I also really recommend using references, especially as a beginner. It can help you identify all the different shapes that appear in the body. When you use references, I recommend that you break it down into shapes rather than just trying to draw what you see. If you understand some of the underlying structure over time, even if you haven't studied anatomy in depth, it'll be much easier for you to recall those shapes to draw poses from memory in the future. Even I still loosely use references quite often, but a lot of them are pictures I take of myself and then I push the pose further in my drawings. It can be a little awkward taking and having all these oddly posing pictures of yourself, but it beats searching online for very specific or just interesting poses. It's easy to lose the motivation to draw if you're just looking for a reference all the time. I think that's about it for this video, crew. I hope I explained how I draw bodies in a proper and understandable way. Let me know down in the comments if you have any questions or think I missed something. Be sure to like and subscribe so that I can see you again for our next voyage. Bye bye!